going. I think we're all set.
All
And
right.
I believe YouTube likes my stream. Yes, it does. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Mess. So that's Mass Effect Spitballing stream, where UDP, myself, and two guests start talking about, in this case, Reaper plots. And these are the gentlemen, the Doctor, and I guess we can call you Mr. Crumb. Is that a fair name to give you?
Yeah, just call me Crumb.
Okay. The first name was a bit big. I was like, I don't want to screw that up. So Mr. Crumb is good. Okay, so previous episode we were talking about doing a potential rewrite in general of Mass Effect 2 and why and how and all the details. We wrote them down. Now we're going to go into the Reapers and what they were trying to do, referred to as a plot, meaning the motivation of a character or why they're doing what they're doing, not necessarily their plot goal, meaning what they're trying to achieve. So let's say you have a guy who's out for revenge because someone murdered his wife, so he's out to go kill the guy who murdered his wife. So his motivation or his plot is revenge, and his plot goal is to kill the person who he's revenging on. So, same idea. What would the Reapers want? Now, we look at the actual series as a whole. We say the first game, we're like, hey, we have no idea what they want. This is weird. This is a giant mystery. And in the second game, we kind of think it's to reproduce. We're not sure. It's kind of weird. Maybe they were doing a crazy experiment. Maybe they were playing around with DNA or I don't know, goo. Um, it's kind of strange. We don't know what the resource of humanity was and why it was so important. In the third game, it's because they might make AI, and AI is going to kill them. So they kill them before the AI can kill them or something. So who wants to start off with saying why this is stupid?
Oh God. I, uh, I don't know where to begin because I feel like Mass Effect 3 completely screwed the pooch when it came to the Reapers overall goals and motives. I would have been fine if they kept the goals of the Reapers vaguely eldritch. They just exist and they just do what they do just because. But this whole okay, so we're gonna kill them before they create AI because the AI will kill them. But if they don't create AI, we're still gonna kill them though. It makes no sense. It literally just makes absolutely no sense.
Well, keep in mind that the Reapers want to preserve life, but we're never given the opportunity to understand or grasp what their version of preserving life means. And if we could actually get an understanding of this whole process of liquefying people and then pumping them into a big automaton body of a facsimile of a giant human, and to know what happened to these people, how are they preserved, then we can at least say, oh, they're getting a better existence. They're getting a better something or other for us to say, hey, maybe this is a good idea. But we never even come close to that. We never get any understanding. And what we get instead is some sort of weird giant baby Arnold creature thing that makes no sense.
Well, it's funny because each game is actually completely independent of one another. Like they've got you have the dark energy plot, then they had the AI plot. It's like none of these things actually matched up. It was quite literally like one was Drew's idea, then Drew got shunted off to was it the Old Republic? He wanted to go there, and then Mac took over and he turned it into Independence Day, only dumber.
Oh God.
Like he actually made it dumber than Independence Day. I mean, that's a feat unto itself, you know.
Like, it's I was waiting for either Shepard or James Vega be he punches a berserker in the face, being like, "Welcome to Earth." Just pulls out a comically large cigar and just starts smoking it just in the middle of the battlefield.
Well, that would have been pretty cool if the battle on Rannoch, like he just climbs on top of the Spider Reaper and just kind of goes. That would have been a renegade thing, you know. But they can't have smoking in games, though, can
Okay, so it is possible to have a plot where ancient billion-year-old AIs are like, okay, you know what? We're pretty big and nasty, and we're the biggest, baddest AIs ever, but there are other AIs that are out there that are not going to be as smart, and they're just going to kill off their creators. So that's going to be bad. So we have to prevent that from happening. What's some of the ways that the Reapers could have actually stopped that from happening, as opposed to just getting rid of the target so that the AIs don't kill them off?
It's like a hostage situation, and then the police shoot the hostage. It's like, right, we've got you now.
Okay, well, okay, so it's like, here's what I sort of envision. So basically, so like the Reapers show up, they eradicate any and all like AIs, they find synthetic beings, and they basically like send the entire galaxy back to like a primitive Stone Age level of technology. Like it's essentially, in my sort of headcanon, like the cycles were basically sort of like a mass galactic reset, essentially. You know, they would come in, they would destroy the AIs, and basically send everyone back to like this primitive tribal level of technology. So like, hey, you don't got now with the powers of AI and whatnot, you know. That at least makes some sense to me. But it's like, we're gonna like turn you into like the orange slush from the end of Evangelion, and turn you into these creepy space robot codexes of your entire race's like culture, I guess. I don't know.
Well, not every race either, was it? It was just only humans for that cycle. Turians, Asari, Solarians, they're all going to die. They're not preserving anyone.
I think the race that got like the shortest end of the stick was the Batarians, you know. Their homeworld gets immediately destroyed in like the first wave, and Hackett says that, oh, the Batarians, they're probably going to be extinct by the end of this cycle. Yeah, pour one out for my boy Bollock.
Like I'm pretty one of he like when you meet the Batarian terrorist or whoever at the Citadel, is he like it's like every world of Batarians like almost dead or occupied by Reapers?
It's heavily implied that the Batarians were like the first to go in the first wave. You know, like they had the Leviathan of Dis, and I distinctly remember that, like, due to the Leviathan of Dis, a bunch of high-ranking members of the Batarian hegemony were indoctrinated. So when the Reapers came, they immediately surrendered, and they fell in the first wave.
Yeah, that kind of got retconned by Leviathan DLC, unfortunately, because Leviathan of Dis was actually originally sold, and then they retconned it.
Oh.
So they went and doubled themselves over. So that's quite funny, isn't
it?
Okay, so instead of doing the thing they did, they could have just come to our galaxy, killed all the AI, taken away all our technology, killed all of our... Well, they take away all the technology, we won't have any books, we won't have any records of how to build things, all our engineering and math is gone. They might have some sort of mind control to make us stupid or forgetful. Possibly.
They just have like a de-evolution ray. They just point at people like, boom, you're now a stupid ape now, guys.
Okay, so that's one solution. I'm trying to think of others here to kill AI. Like if you build these things called relays that have, I don't know why the relay or space travel would exist before AI is developed. I'm not sure how that would help advance AI, unless it connects you to other aliens and then they teach you more stuff. But if you're going to have stuff that's left over, like relays or artifacts, why not have the actual technology there that sort of is against... Oh, we lost Mr. Crumb. I don't know where he went. But what if we have this technology that disables certain kinds of processes? It scans for... it's hard to say. How would AI look in terms of software? Like, what kind of processes would it be?
I think really is, if the Reapers were that kind of powerful in the sense of they just go around policing systems, and they would actually cultivate organic races to make sure kind of like how the ancients in Stargate would actually like kind of watch, civilizations grow, like they would grow civilizations. Like that's how the Reapers would actually do it. Like they would kind of grow their own civilizations. So they have like a Reaper watching over the Turians, the humans, or maybe like, things like that. Like, they go, are they building any robots today, Jim? No. And if they have any ideas, I'm going to mind control that dude and put a stop to it. And that's all what they'd have to do.
Yeah, I would say you could also have like stations on every planet that has a possibility of supporting life. In a way like Star Trek has it, but you basically like hide a part of the Reaper somewhere on the planet, somewhere they probably will not find it, or maybe just in the system. But that will depend. Like if they find it, that there will probably be trouble. But it depends on the state of other like Reapers, if they would be like flying around in the galaxy, or if they would be in the dark corners of the dark space.
Well, yeah, but if you see the Reaper, their design, like even on the screen, if you could see the picture there, it's like, what are these things supposed to be doing? Like, what are they? Are they collecting things? Are they stomping around on buildings? Like, they can level an entire planet from orbit. So why are they coming down in so many numbers? What's the point? Because that was actually a line by Sovereign in the first game. He's like, our numbers will darken the skies of every world. And you're like, okay, so they're coming to visit the planets. Why? And this is their method. So this existed before things got a little weird, Mass Effect 2 and on. So is this their terraforming method of actually eliminating all evidence? They just bring their nanomachines or whatever techniques they've got to eliminate tech and metals and alloys and plastics and all the artificially created stuff that does not occur naturally in nature. I would say, okay, maybe they need to do that. But if they're that sophisticated, why would they then have these giant machines that house entire previous species in them to be these everything you can do ships? Like we have Spider Reapers, or Reapers that are really small, that are specific to just shooting stuff. And that's it. They're just like a small house, or rather a large house. And they stomp around. They do pretty much the same thing. So I'm imagining that they would have other ships that do other things. Like after all the war is taken care of, then they have the terraforming ships come in. So it's a pretty big, complicated process. But no, they just show these dudes repairing frickin' relays. Like this. It's like, what, really? They're gonna do all the hard work with their tentacle appendages? Like, okay.
You know what this reminds me of? And I can't believe I'm actually referencing this movie because it just shows you how sad I am. The movie Skyline. If anybody's seen that.
What is the movie Skyline?
Right, the movie Skyline, the premise is that aliens have come down to Earth and they literally vacuum up humans, right? And they just like suck them up in the sky, and the humans, what remains of the military, really. It's basically like watching some yuppies in some apartment, like they're basically like the last survivors or whatever. But like you see the remainder of the military like do a desperate last stand, and they don't win. Like even launching nukes at them doesn't do anything. Well, it does some damage, but it just pisses them off. But it's like that makes more sense in terms of like that's how powerful they are. Like literally just go beam of light, and then everybody just goes woof. And it's just I can't believe that Mass Effect 3 is actually dumber than that. And that was a pretty dumb movie. That movie was dumber than Battle Los Angeles, which I also watched. So,
well, here's the Spider Reaper, and I don't know what they're good for aside from just shooting things with their lasers or whatever. I suppose they have the same weapon as the capital ships. So there's no specific design. It's not big enough to house a supposed version of whatever organism would then get encased inside a 2 kilometer tall squid-like creature. So it's like, okay, why do you have these things?
It's funny because with the Destroyer Reapers they're all like, we can't penetrate their armor. And it's like, well, Reapers just have really powerful kinetic barriers. Where did this magical armor plating come from? I'd love to know.
And why isn't the same armor on the 2 kilometer tall capital ships? Like,
Well, I think that was the problem, wasn't it? Is that we never actually saw the impacts of the Reapers deflecting the shells. They just went for a kind of, they just got really powerful armor. It's like, no.
yeah, I mean, the battle of the Citadel would have been like, oh, the shields are down, fire away. It's like, doink, oh, armor, crap. What do we do?
Like, yeah, imagine that. Imagine if you were Tim and you got hands on the wreckage of Sovereign. If I was Tim, I would probably build a Normandy out of that.
Yep.
That would be indestructible.
That would be curious, because then we'd have to be like, are we getting indoctrinated from this armor plating? It's like, whoops.
But imagine if you won't get indoctrinated from just the armor, then Normandy would technically be indestructible. If you take out the Reapers. Like Turian cruiser, nothing.
Yeah, the fact that we actually had Sovereign and we could not figure out the majority of what was there. It just boggles. Like, really, you could not figure it out. You couldn't even just take a sample and just analyze it.
I love the fact that they're like, well, maybe it was a Geth creation. It's like, no, because even the Geth, because you just basically look at the two materials and kind of go, well, no, because they're two completely different composites.
Yeah, you could look at all the Geth ships you blew up too in the process, because they were with Sovereign. They go, this design is radically different from this massive ship. Let's compare the hull. Wow, this is radically different. What? Yes, they're clearly the same. It's like, why? How? Who?
And once again, with the 56 million-year-old Reaper that you find in the gas, it's like you could have towed that out and kind of gone and just dumped it on the council's front desk and kind of go, right, this thing's 56 million years old. I doubt the Geth have invented time travel yet.
Right. So the plot, we have to get back to the plots of the Reapers here. What other ways can we help them stop AIs from coming about? Like, what's the
AIs, does it? I mean, I think the AI plot was dumb, personally. That's just me.
Okay, so are we done talking about AI plot and all? Because there's really not much you can do aside from come to the galaxy 50,000 years later, write a computer virus that wipes out all AI, and then cause them to blow up or whatever, or launches themselves into the sun and say goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay, there's not much there. Okay, so new plots. Reapers do what?
I'm quite a big fan of not really a big fan, the dark energy plot, because it kind of gets you something this is something that would be a continuous thing later on in the series. If other games in the Mass Effect world it was something that would hinder them, So obviously you had like the beings of light, which would obviously be eating the stars or something like that, and the Reapers are trying to combat it. And you could sort of say that they're actually, and this is an actual thing which is going on beyond in other galaxies as well. So the Reapers are actually going beyond that, and every now and then, basically the Milky Way is just a petri dish to kind of go. It's a controlled environment, whereas really it's a war that's going on beyond the stars or beyond galaxies.
Okay, so the Reapers are merely like the scientists who are experimenting on our galaxy because there's another war going on.
And they're trying to prevent this, but it's gone out of control in other galaxies. That they're just like, it's like you develop vaccines that you have to get a sample, and that's how they're trying to view it as. Right, this is the only galaxy that they actually can control efficiently.
I see. Okay, so there's a bigger conflict going on that's beyond our comprehension, beyond our, like, just way before us, and it has nothing to do with the heat death of the universe or, trying to solve all these potential destructions of the galaxy or what have you. It's just some other conflict that they are like, hey, you know what? We have way more important things to deal with than you being alive or dead. So we don't really care. We just need your bodies to experiment with. And the experimentations, we have no idea what they're doing. There's no explanation. They're just playing around, moving things around, playing with genetics, turning you into goo, putting you in bodies. It's like, yeah, whatever. Whatever they want to do with us, they can. So random experiments, unexplained.
Yeah, in a way, we talked about this after the last stream. Like, it would be really good, or like we talked about like the horror elements that they should have went with, and that would have been perfect, like what you suggested, because it would have been a really good horror that you think, or it's your belief that the Reapers are almost unbeatable, and if you like found out that they are actually getting defeated by something even more stronger, that would probably terrify you.
Yeah, a lot of these stories, even books that aren't that old. And by that old, I mean like 20 years old. They have like a Reaper-like, not a villain, but a Reaper-like species that are so far advanced they can control time and space. They're amazing, but they can't stop this thing that's coming, which is another strange phenomenon in the galaxy, which is destroying stars or causing stars to die or go nova before their supposed time limit. And it's kind of like it's pretty much the not the heat death. Yeah, well, everything goes cold. All the stars are dead. So there's no more energy, no more heat, and it's like, oh, this no more life can possibly exist. So they're trying to always prevent that, and they always keep failing.
Yeah.
So this can connect into or dark energy too, I guess you could say. Trying to save the galaxy or universe. And that can go in, again, it could be beyond our comprehension as well. It doesn't have to go into too much detail, but they just have to give a convincing explanation that, hey, you know what? We're just trying to keep the lights on, guys. So if we have to step on you to do that, we don't care. So
I suppose as well, like, could have, like, the reason why they're doing experiments on the other various races and what have you is that they're trying to figure out other ways to forestall this. Like maybe when they took over the Protheans, the way how they manipulated them, that they could be used as a kind of bulwark against this in the galaxy. So when they go away and start doing other things, it's actually like dampening the effects of the dark energy. So we can be twisted, and that's why they're kind of interested in our genetics. And humans are more applicable to the Reaper cybernetics that would be given to us.
right, but we have to know why that is. Like, would we make really good interfaces? Would we make really good computers? Like, would we be really good templates for other experiments? Like, what's so like we have to have a reason for that, right? So it's like genetics, compatibility.
Yeah, I would sort of say it's the idea of using the cybernetics to enhance brain power, but obviously with like the Asari, the Slayers, and what they're too. Well, whenever you put it in them, it kind of like destabilizes them. But with humans, it would enhance them.
Okay, so we need see, this is the other concept I'm trying to think of, which is to bring about proper evolutionary or revolutionary change. So like the singularity or a techno singularity. So you want to find a race that can evolve. Maybe because all the other species will die out eventually. So instead of having them just die out, it's like, listen, we don't want to lose you, so we have to destroy the rest of the garden. So we're gonna kill everyone else off, but you're good, and we're gonna put you in a big squid body, so you can, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost like a convergence event. Like once they've fully upgraded with the Reaper tech, then they can get amalgamated into the Reaper body, and then all the minds will be processed into a kind of that hive mind, almost like the Borg. Or you could even go like how in Soma did it. If anyone's ever played that,
Yeah.
With the ending and whatnot, it's kind of like when you enter into that world, it's basically like a paradise. And it's just basically this paradise of everyone just bouncing ideas off one another, obviously, because it's in a computer like virtual world or virtual environment. It's just like time's like slowed ridiculously down so that everyone can like go through the processes of how to get ideas. And that's what it is. It's just basically a big giant think tank for that race.
It sounds like a Frank Tipler scenario where he's saying at the end of time, God will create a machine that houses the existence of every being ever, and it'll be this giant paradise that is just the most ridiculous over the top thing that you could ever hope would happen. It's just like, what is this guy? What is this guy smoking? But he's actually serious. This is a PhD in physics. He's very serious about this. So yeah, lots of crazy stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it's like a step up to that. Like they're getting up to that paradise world. We don't want you to suffer, but we're going to give you all of our knowledge.
Maybe it's actually the next big stage, because when obviously talk about interstellar civilizations and what have you, it's like maybe the Reapers are also trying to gather as much organic data as possible so they can move to the next universe.
Oh, so you're talking like an ascension or something like that, like you see in Stargate.
Yeah, kind of like that, but obviously it's like an alternate reality, because obviously like this universe is doomed, so they're just trying to get as much as possible. So they kind of go, right, okay, we're going to try and save as many as we can, and then we're going to replant this in a new universe.
Okay, so the idea of actually having organ or some sort of alien life that's compatible to be put into a robot or a big hive mind something, whether you want to call that a singularity or not, is just a bunch of minds linked together to do some other achievable thing, because the alternative is nothingness or destruction. So they want to come in and make sure, hey, you know what? If I don't prune my garden, all of my plants are going to die. So I got to take humans right now and preserve them forever, and the rest I don't care about, because they're all trash for whatever reason. So it could be that they just leave them alone. It's like, well, you're going to die in 50,000 years anyway, so we don't care. But if you're in our way, we'll crush you. Like, it could have been something like that instead of just kill everything. Yeah, like these are reasonable ideas that, with a bit more backstory and a bit more development, you can actually play with, as opposed to, we got to kill all the AI before they kill you.
Or we got to kill the organics before the AI kills them.
Yeah.
Or maybe like an interesting plot would be that like the Reapers, they, for example, the Leviathans who created the Reapers. They basically were like guardians of, I don't know, for example, like 10 galaxies, where they wanted to preserve life by, for example, controlling it. But then they discovered that they created AI that destroys them. So they created the Reapers to basically be like the gardener. Not that the Reapers like turned on them, but the Reapers were supposed to be gardener and probably like their butler. But then you had basically the dark energy that came in, or like some dark entities. And they basically, oh, you're doing this. Well, let's get the party started. And they started like wrecking them. So then the Reapers created the 50,000 year cycle, for example. So they could basically like harvest people to get more, technically soldiers, but I would call it ship soldiers.
See, I would have thought it'd be really ironic if they were like trying to preserve galaxies, because they once discovered, once a race or species have sufficient knowledge to go between galaxies, because galaxies are their own petri dish. As soon as you introduce a brand new element into another galaxy, it really messes up that other galaxy. And with Andromeda, the whole thing is that, well, we have enough technology to go to Andromeda. It's really going to mess stuff up, and it's the one thing the Reapers were fighting against. And they weren't expecting you to stupidly take a Hail Mary shot of 600 years into another galaxy. That would like totally screw things. Like, it would really just be ironic because of Andromeda. But if that's what
they just wake up and the husk is like, hello.
I think remember talking about this one about the biotic singularity.
Oh, the biotic singularity. Okay.
Yeah. So one of my ideas was that the Reapers are obviously created, but their masters actually ascended to the higher plane of existence, or not really that, but I figured that their masters kind of ascended because they were very, very powerful biotics, but unfortunately their attitudes didn't really change, so they're very much similar to like Greek gods, whereby they could be jealous, and this was like causing utter complete destruction across galaxies. Because basically got like people who could like, literally like crush stars and do all kinds of crazy things. So the Reapers obviously were trying to prevent that. but they're trying to figure out how to actually happen. This is why they have the 50,000 year cycle, because there's something in organics when they get infused with element 0 that spurs on their evolution, that makes them go out of control and are able to control them almost like, Magneto level powers, or Dark Phoenix if you want to go down that road.
So they're trying to stop them from becoming too powerful, or else they'll just kill everyone else off.
Yes, basically, it's like the humans. Well, not the humans. Sorry, the organics would end up destroying themselves. It's like, imagine, let's say I become a god, but because I'm a flawed god, I'll get jealous or I'll get bored. What was that episode of Star Trek? The guy who basically like kills all the Husnock.
Oh yeah, this is very similar to a plot in The Outer Limits, where it's a story about cold fusion, where there's technology is hitting that point where people are just naturally trying to get cold fusion, and it's so powerful and so deadly, it can just wipe out an entire block of people just because this guy made a little canister. And this is one of the explanations was like, this is why there's no aliens in the galaxy, because they get to this point and they just kill each other off because it's so deadly and everyone gets it, and it's just anyone can make a bomb. Interesting. So we have natural. Well, it's pretty much the same idea as AI that wipes out a species.
It's flipped on its head, though. It's
Yeah.
like the Reapers are actually fearful of organic if they get too powerful, but they're trying to figure out that moment of when it becomes like a tipping scale, but they can't leave it for too long.
Exactly. So you have these supremely powerful beings that they become like, can just like smash planets with their minds or whatever. It's like,
that could be the beings of light. Like they're actually a remnant of that war that happened. Like you could call it the War in Heaven, which I know is a complete rip-off of Warhammer 40k.
But still, like, it's inspiration. Like you especially use a lot of Stargate references. There was a lot of Star Trek around here.
Oh yeah, so the melting pot of. How much stuff can I rip off in one episode?
Yeah, like, you know what? Screw it. Throw the Tyranids in Mass Effect 3 and let's be done with it.
Well, that's the Rachni sorted, ain't it?
Yeah.
I wish the Rachni really did play a more significant role, just because of the history we had with it and the mystery and the build-up. And maybe that was sort of like the Reapers would be scared of this sort of really upstarted, advanced alien race that was communicate really quickly. They had telepathic abilities. They can build spaceships from scratch. They're just amazing, and they would probably want or be fearful of this species because they can do so many things so quickly compared to everyone else that they would end up dominating the galaxy. And they're like, oh, we can't have that. That's going to screw up our plans for whatever those plans are. And again, we don't need to know the full extent of the full details of these plans. That's why when we heard about AI coming by to do that, it's like that's a very low level sort of thing. It's like, I create something that kills us off. It's like, that's stupid. How is that possible? And if there's no explanation for something so simple, then it's not going to fly. But if it's a high level thing, like, we're trying to protect you, and to protect you, we need to put you in this big frickin' Arnold body, and then we're going to put you in this big frickin' squid body, and then we're going to launch you into dark space for forever. And you're like, why? Like there's lots of things going on, and we have to understand the end result of that. So if you have something obscure, like if this happens, like we let the organic races fight amongst themselves, one of them's going to kill all the other off, and we can't have that. And like, why? It's like, because we're the guardians and we protect life. Then why are you killing us off? It's like, sometimes you have to kill some off to save the rest, and that would be their whole mentality. And we don't need to know all the details and all the reasonings. At least there would be a rationale saying, this is how it's done, and this is our garden, and we have to protect it, and you are just one of many. So we don't care who you are particularly, but it seems that the Rachni would have came. Like, that's one of the things I liked about the Rachni, is that it was a problem that was taken care of, and it wasn't removed. It's still there. So are the Reapers aware of that? Of course they are. And maybe they had to come early because of that. Maybe something had to happen for them to kickstart the cycle again.
Yeah, one of the problems I had with the Rachni, which you made me remember, especially in Mass Effect 3, is that when you basically save the Queen, or the clone of the Queen, if you kill them, I'm not sure what it is if you kill the Rachni Queen, but if you save her, if you like basically recruit her, everyone just shrugs it off and okay, they're helping us now. Like there's no conflict, for example, with Rex. Rex just shrugs it off, probably. Like I don't think that the Krogans would be particularly happy with working with an enemy that basically made the Solarians do what they did to Krogans, the forced evolution, and they wrecked the entire civilization with genophage.
Well, the thing
Like
is,
I myself
it
would
wasn't a
be pretty
forced
happy.
it wasn't a forced evolution. Like here, we're gonna modify your genome.
Oh, sorry, not forced evolution. Bringing up.
Yeah, but here's some nuclear
Yeah.
weapons, literally. Here's some spaceships. Here's some guns.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, I was watching. Someone recommended some sort of Mass Effect fan. You know how there's every year or so some YouTubers. Oh, Mass Effect is the best thing ever, and it's like an hour long of just gushing about the series. And one of them was how amazing the Krogans have like redundant organs, and they kill you, they fight until you die. It's like, well, okay, that doesn't make them good. It's just like Klingon-ish. It makes them like every other warlike species out there. It's the most
I
unoriginal
believe
thing.
the Isari were also from Orions.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, they just decided, well, no, let's not use the green, so we don't have trouble with Star Trek. Let's use the
It's so similar. No, it's not. Okay.
exactly. Well, that was just my problem. Like you basically like bring them together. The only problem the Solarians had when you decide like to help the Krogans with the genophage, that was like the only conflict. But with the Rachni, there was no conflict. With the Turians working together, with the Krogans again, there was no conflict. Like I understand that well, if we take it from the like Quarians' perspective, they just didn't really care. They just attacked the Geth. And if you like tell them, well, you shouldn't have done that. Well, we did it. Like there's no real diplomacy there. Like there's no real conflict. It's just like a film to me, especially when you are supposed to be a diplomat, like bringing every race together. It just doesn't work that well.
Yeah, that's something that Mass Effect 2 could have done, because they could have done the idea you work with the Geth, because the Geth are the only other race that have encountered Reapers, but then you can also have the Rachni. Like, if you save the Rachni Queen, she would go into the old territories and she'd be like kind of uncovering the past, and you'd be like, no, it was actually the Reapers that caused it, and this is what they did. You'd be like, oh, right. So you kind of have more backstory to them all and how the Reapers actually operate when they start to dictate organic life in terms of what they're going to do, such as causing a war or whatever.
Oh, we just got a new person in the chat. This is James. Say hello, James. How's it going, buddy?
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta go through some. While I take a break and get James up to speed here. See if I can go through
some red shirts here, lads.
Yeah.
I've been watching parts of this.
Oh, okay, okay, sure. You're familiar with what we're doing. Okay, great. So let me just go through some super chats here. Mad Courier 6, Smud. This is all assuming anyone in Bioware actually played Mass Effect 1. Yeah, there's lots of questions on what kind of people they started getting work for Mass Effect 2. All the new hires. I'm sure a lot of the old guard was still there, but they definitely hired a much bigger team to get Mass Effect 2 off the ground.
I remember that some of them actually went to the Origins team.
Off and on, it must have been, because the Origins was in development for the longest time, for like 10 years, and then Mass Effect was up, and then we got published faster, so it must have been both. Yeah.
I know that a lot of the former guard from Mass Effect went on to Storm, the Old Republic, so they're still around.
One of the biggest boondoggles of video game development history. The amount of money they pumped into that game, and I'm surprised it's still alive. I doubt they've broken even.
They turned it around, actually. It was a remarkable feat, because the people there that actually were good. It's just that the tools that they got given, like this was like back in 2005 when they went and bought the Hero engine in a pre-alpha undocumented state, and literally BioWare's words were, "Yeah, that's what we want. We want that engine."
Oh, great! Let's buy that now. Okay, another super chat from Nathan Break. I have a thought. Since the Protheans were watching humanity, and that the humans weren't supposed to be part of this cycle. So the Protheans were about to uplift humanity or thinking about it, and they were just supposed to be skipped. And for whatever reason, there was a cache they left on Mars, and voila, they have now uplifted themselves. And oops, now we're gonna die. Ooh, that would suck. Thanks, Protheans. Really, really great.
Thanks, Vigil.
Yeah. All right, so James, we asked the first question, which was the original plot. If the Reapers were set out to stop AI from killing all of humanity, was there probably a more logical or more efficient way of doing that as opposed to whatever they were trying to do in Mass Effect 3? I wish I could explain it properly to you, but it's kind of hard.
Yeah. No. The thing is, I like that specific part in Mass Effect 3 leading up to the ending, but that making that the Reaper purpose of existing was kind of stupid. Because like like in Mass Effect 1, it was like you cannot comprehend it, and then in Mass Effect 3 is like, yeah, well, eventually people will rise against the AI and vice versa, and then the AI tries to kill you, so we come in and just kill everyone.
They take away the toys, they take away the actual children fighting over the toys, and they turn the children into cyborgs. So it's like,
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
So can you think of any better way to do that, or you're just like, yeah, this is so dumb, just throw it away?
I would keep it. But when you look at the Mass Effect, the three endings, right? It's like either control them, either have the synergy, or either destroy them, right? So the synergy ending is probably the accumulation of the plot between EDI and Joker, and that the AI can coexist.
Okay.
And that there is the solution, but I wouldn't make it part of the Reaper plot. I would just start it somewhere in Mass Effect 2 that you can coexist, and then in Mass Effect 3 you have this moment, oh, the Reapers are partially trying to solve that. So here we go. There's an option for that at the end, right?
Okay.
You know what?
I see what you're saying. Okay, so you want the events of EDI becoming more alive in Mass Effect 2, the Geth being individuals, etc., so that when you get to Mr. Starchild, you're like, hey, listen, buddy, we solved it for you. Here they are. And
exactly.
Okay, in that case, that means that the Reapers would have to be intelligent enough to be expecting that outcome. So they keep trying and it keeps failing. And then finally, for whatever reason, Shepard and company just got it working. And they're like, we've been waiting for you. Thank you. This is what we want. So
yeah, exactly. But when you think about it, right, the catalyst is not Reaper built from what we know. There was just one race started somehow kind of realized that, yeah, we can use the Citadel to just manipulate the Reapers. And so the Reapers shouldn't expect that is an option, or they can't find it until the Crucible is connected. And then you can present, like your findings that you started in Mass Effect 2, that carried over to Mass Effect 3 to the Reapers, and that would be then the ending.
Okay, that's
you could put it back to the player.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. It's just there's a lot of holes you have to fill in.
Obviously.
Because of their behavior and what they're like, why are they liquefying humans, and what have they been doing this entire time? How do the relays work to facilitate the Crucible and all this other there's lots of questions you have to get into, but obviously it's how you do it. So long as they're not going around cleansing the galaxy, when you just say, look guys, slow down, look, we got the solution right here. So it's essentially very similar to the ending that we get, aside from arguing with the Starchild. Hey, listen, we have the solution you've been looking for. They're right here. I have Edie. I have her in my head. I can have her talk to you right now. We got the Geth out there. You must have seen them. Maybe you were having a busy weekend or afternoon that you didn't see them coming by. They're right there. Go talk to them. Like that. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, there's a few questions you have to answer there, but I see where you're coming from. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you read what I wrote in the Discord, but essentially I would start a lot of the subplots that are in Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect 2. Like the Rena's father being obsessed with indoctrination, I would start that together with the Leviathan guy, for example. Maybe they work together, and then they split, and Rena's father went to Cerberus, and all of those little subplots that just explain parts about the Reapers, explain parts about the mass relays and the Geth and so forth.
I think
because there's 2 years between Shepard's death and Revival, people did stuff. Maybe people did stuff on their own and did investigate stuff.
I think the argument that putting a lot of stuff from Mass Effect 3 into Mass Effect 2, because Mass Effect 2 is essentially worthless, and developing that so that when you get to Mass Effect 3 or the actual desired Mass Effect 3, you go, okay, we've dealt with all these other issues. Let's make it about the invasion, and then we try to get them to communicate. We try to fight them back. We keep losing and losing and losing until we finally build the Crucible. Now they're paying attention to us. Now we can communicate to them. It's kind of like Tower of Babel. You know, we build this thing up just to communicate to the gods. They're like, oh, the ants are talking to us. Look at that. Okay, that's what they have to say. Oh, really? You solved the problem of AI. Oh, let's see what they have to say. Okay, cool. Let's, give them a shot. What's your presentation? It's like, and Shepard's like, okay, listen. There's these guys called the Geth. Oh, the Geth, yeah, we're about to crush them. What about them? Okay, they're really nice. Like, what do you mean they're nice? They've been killing you. What are you talking about? They just almost eliminated the Quarians. Like, no, you don't understand. I just helped them out. They're nice now. It's like, no, really. No, I'm not joking, really. They're right over there. Like, okay, let's go see. Oh, yeah, okay, they seem all right.
It's really funny because in Mass Effect 1, the Geth were actually seen as a surprise, like Sovereign wasn't actually expecting. And he just went, oh, but these guys are a useful tool. That's why I'm going to replace them with, going to replace the Keepers with them. It's like, oh, right. And so no one else before has actually developed AI, which is why the AI plot just comes out of nowhere. You know? It's like if they wanted to build machines, they could have built machines as Keepers. Like
it is a silly inclusion because there is AI all throughout Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2. And yes, it's always seen as rebellious and blows itself up, but that's like dumb. Like if you write a piece of software that you didn't have much time to be working on it, and it just goes crazy and blows itself up, it's like, yeah, it's probably not smart. But then you have the Geth who are super smart, who are super logical, or not super logical, but super rational. Like they're not like aggressive. They don't do things because they can. It's like, well, we want to survive. That's about it. So it would make sense that these hyper-intelligent beings, AI or otherwise, could get along with people. And I never grasped the idea that the Quarians would always attack them all the time. So
yeah, that was like one of those things that Mass Effect 3 kind of started to making sense. But especially Mass Effect 2, this entire tally plot of the fleet and stuff was like, so like, I get what you're trying to do, but you're just contradicting yourself like thrice within the entire arc there.
I think the conversation with the broken, if not dying, Spider Reaper on Rannoch was kind of just one of the worst scenes in the game. It's like, you cannot understand. It's like, can you maybe explain it to us with your human language there, sir? It's beyond you.
Yeah, I think BioWare shot themselves in the foot in Mass Effect 1 and they said, there is this thing beyond your comprehension. And then you're like, well, and then they just kept it going and never explained what exactly is beyond our comprehension. And then in the last 5 minutes, there's this child just exposition dumping us with stuff.
It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing this because we don't want you to die. It's like, what? Excuse me?
Those of you can comprehend, it's 7 herbs and spices for KFC.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is they basically retconned it and they didn't went with the you cannot understand.
I think this is why they didn't include the Reapers in Mass Effect 2, but did something completely different because they had no idea where to go with the Reapers.
Yeah, but look how dumb this is. Like you saw this in Mass Effect 1. Look at the background. All these Reapers just coming down, having a party. Just,
Hey Jim, been 50,000 years, hasn't it? Yeah, it's great. And they're all the
Also-
same.
Also in Mass Effect 1, you had the difference between the AI and VI.
Yeah, that's. I wanted to bring that up as well. Like, there are differences, but until Mass Effect 3, it never gets brought up again.
Yeah, exactly. Like ED was a VI on the moon, right? That was a VI.
Yeah.
Developed
Yeah,
into
like the
AI,
Geth.
right?
Not only that,
No,
she
the
was
Geth was the
Reaper.
original.
She was based off Reaper tech. So like, oh, you had Reaper tech all this time? How? When?
Reaper-fied. So she was like the base code from the AI on the the VI on them, and then servers just went yoink and Reaper-fied her up, and suddenly it's like, yeah, we got Trisha Helfer, you know.
It's like, wait, don't. That's not nice. Don't do that, please.
Have this Cortana in a ship.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Dragon Age series. It's the most generic fantasy, dark fantasy you could ever think of. It's just throw everything you could think of into a pot and pick something up when you want to tell a different story. Just like, okay, they didn't have vampires. I don't think. I think that's the only one I don't remember. But
No, they don't have them.
yeah, every like
I'm pretty sure that was something in Origins.
they play around with blood, but not like a vampire needing blood or anything like that. There is a lot of blood in Origins, but never a vampire.
You hit one guy with a sword, and suddenly it's just like raspberry jam everywhere.
Yeah, everyone gets sprayed. That was the joke. It's like, what the hell did you do to that guy? Holy crap!
I'm pretty sure they never did vampires, so that's the only
Huh.
I think
Vampires
they
are one of the two possibilities created when hunger demons possess a living host, that through them they drain life and mana out of their victims by eating them. Oh, there you go, vampires.
I never heard any like NPC drop the vampire word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember where they are in the game. I just can't for the life of me. But it's just this big generic blanket of fantasy, and I guess that's what they were trying to do. Is like, hey, let's get that really sexy chick from that show who's like a spy. Oh yeah, she's wait. We don't. Why is she blonde? That's her natural hair color. Let's make her a brunette. It's like, why? it looks better. It's like, it does? Really? Okay. Same thing with Edie. Same thing with pretty much half the cast. Not to say that they didn't do that with the first game too, but it was just like, let's just get generic people who do the things they always have done. And it's not a good. It's not. Oh yeah, the actor's really good in this role because he's played this role before. It's like, yeah. Can we not? Like, can you imagine Patrick Stewart coming in?
Material.
Sorry?
At least we got great behind the scenes material between Joker and Edie.
Yeah, but that was primarily the actors hamming it up and then writing, because I doubt the writers did that. I doubt the writers would write the minute to minute, and it was him just hamming it up like, oh, in this scene I could do this, and they're like, fine, whatever you want, Seth, go, or whatever, do your thing, and all the other comedy scenes, same thing, which were pretty sparse, unless it was talking about Joker. I think they wrote Shepard way too straight, and they didn't give him
that free.
Sorry?
Mass Effect 3 didn't go straight there, did he?
Hey, I'm gay, so are you. Wow, let's be gay together. Okay.
And that just came out of the blue.
It came out of nowhere. It's like, okay, well, that wasn't what you established in the first game, buddy. I mean, if you changed your mind, that's fine, but can you maybe give us some heads up, some build up to that?
Not like.
Hey, couldn't you be gay with Hayden?
Right, that's the problem. I mean, we can talk about the strange relationships in the game, but it's not. It's another topic. It's just gonna bleed into another hour. I don't want to hurt myself.
But when you drop the Patrick Stewart, imagine if like Patrick Stewart was leading the Reapers.
Yeah, exactly.
Cute as a ball. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Dude, replace the child just with Patrick Stewart, and Shepard comes up, and there's this bright light, and suddenly there's this figure moving towards him from that bright light, and it's Patrick Stewart in his X-Men wheelchair, and starts narrating what's happening.
Yeah, like I would like three things. either make him into a character, so I could bring someone good with Garrus, or make him an AI, which would replace ET, or basically make him the leader of Reapers, just for the lols, because why not? Like, he would basically say assuming control.
Assuming control.
Instead of that weird generic low decibel baseline sound of Harbinger. It's like, oh God, please shut up every time you shoot a freaking collector. Oh.
I watched a video the other day about the iconic sound that the Reapers make. Like 4 minutes into it.
That was actually from a bin.
Basically dubstep.
There was actually a bin that the sound people found and they reversed it.
Yeah,
and it's kind of cool.
I think they first recorded cars on a bridge, and then they used a garbage bin to sort of make that sound resonate, and they slowed it down.
That's awesome.
I mean, yeah, the sound again. All the artistry behind the game is fantastic. Like even the texture. Well, okay, not all the textures, but a lot of the textures from the second game really gave a great look for 4K.
The environment art team of Mass Effect 2 was ass.
Apparently, they were recorded on a camping trip, and the sound of Reapers are from a trash can.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't think we have any other plots we could play around with for Reapers, how they would do what they're doing, why they would doing it. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities of the future without doing crazy stuff like time travel or alternate dimensions or primarily evolution, genetics, cybernetics. That's the general vibe. The more loftier ideas are more classical. So you have the save the galaxy. We have to kill. We have to prune our garden every so often, or else you'll end up destroying the entire galaxy for whatever reason. There's the more empirical take things with dark energy, adding to the destruction of the galaxy or the heat death of the universe. So there's large scale, there's small scale, there's ascension things. You want to advance their species. They're doing it selfishly for themselves. They're doing it for, I don't know, friendly reasons to get everyone to get along. There's all these little potential plots that you can think of better ideas than, hey, you know what? You're going to do something that's going to make something that's going to kill you all. You're like, okay, so, the Black Plague, cars, nuclear bombs. I mean, there's so many other ways we could have died, or still can die. Like if a meteorite comes by and hits Earth, like we're all dead. So why AI? I don't get it. I don't know. It's.
I would say we go back to Mass Effect 2 and just implement subplot by subplot and see which of those are needed for Mass Effect 3, right?
Oh, so
what do we need? We need to need the indoctrination plot.
Yeah, like the idea was that Shepard has to go talk to the Krogans and the Quarians, and if that was imagine if Mass Effect 2 was just the Krogan and the Quarian plots of get on our side. How do we do that? I need this. I want cure. Okay, how do we do that? Go get this. Go get that. Same with the Geth. Same with Quarians. The Quarians want their homeworld. Okay, then we'll help you. Okay, that was the whole game. Imagine one whole game dedicated to those two storylines.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And you could still have the basic things with the Reaper IFF and all of those things, and the Collector somehow being part of that. All of the being the big arc that sometimes come in and then don't stuff. You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, they Mass Effect 2 to sabotage you.
Fill with useless shit. Like, I love Mass Effect 2, but there's so much in there where it's like when I replay it, I just skip these days. It's just like
pretty much all the N7 missions, characters you don't care about.
The Cerberus investigations.
Yeah, just play Lair of the Shadow Broker, get Legion, and help Tally. That's about it.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, I really hated that they didn't do anything that they didn't do anything significant with the characters in the 2 year gap after you die. I think there was so much potential there, right? Rex goes back to Tuchanka, trying to unite them. You could have had like a throwaway line before you go on Reaper Patrol, where he says, "Yeah, I'm not coming with you on Reaper Patrol. I'm going back to Tuchanka. The Reapers are coming. Nobody's believing us, but we Krogans are the one who hit the hardest. So better be united Tuchanka, right?" Something like that. You could build that into, and that's why you need Morden to cure the genophage, and then the collectors come, or the collectors come before, obviously, but then you go to Chanka, you realize, okay, there's a genophage to cure, Morden was somehow involved, so that becomes a primary plot for Morden. Then you can have Liara and Tali. As I said earlier, the Leviathan guy probably is somewhere there. He got his hands on this Reaper sovereign part, and now it's studying indoctrination with Miranda's dad. And then he gets obsessed and eventually leaves for Cerberus, right? And you can have Tali and Liara were part of that project, and then Tali went to investigate Geth, and she found maybe Tali found the Reaper code upgrades, right? So you can introduce the Reaper code upgrades already and start this AI subplot that the Reapers are trying something with the AI, whatever, right? And then in Mass Effect 3 completely unfolds with the Legion plot. And then you can have that she discovers the dark matter, and that the Mass Effect relays and the Reapers somehow work on the same energy kind of signature or whatever. So you can have ideas for that.
It is
Maybe
possible. Yeah, it is possible to stretch out the Geth plot line entirely into the third game if that's what they're going with, which is AI will kill all organics because reasons. So yeah, that could work because that's the whole crux of why they're doing what they're doing. And I wish they actually were aware of that, so that they could have planned it out. Say, oh yeah, no, we want them to fight the AI, or we want them to realize that AI will kill them from the first game. If someone on Casey's team, on the writing team, said, "Listen, Casey, this is going to blow up in your face 5 years from now. You got to figure this out right now, because there's so many possibilities, and we left it so open. So, like nail it down right now. Plan out the second game to build up to that. In the third game, you just flesh it all out, so that when you get to the ending, you find out the reason why everything's happening, and this is the reason why. And then you have all these choices you made specific to that reason, as opposed to a whole galaxy worth of choices that didn't really, like Rachni meant nothing, saving the council meant nothing, all these things. So
yeah, that was probably the biggest problem, that they didn't sat down and they didn't, okay, listen, Mass Effect 1 was a really great success, but we didn't think of what would be next. It was just an experiment, so we have to think of the next two games. And they never probably did that. They just sat down and, okay, what are we going to do about Mass Effect 2? They never thought okay, let's build up on Mass Effect 1. Let's expand it and make it just more of the same, in a way like John Wick did it. Not just, oh, do you remember the RPG elements? They're gone. Do you remember
they were gone because of the console, that they completely did console first. There were a lot of limitations with Unreal 3 back in the day.
Yeah, that's another problem. The console limitations were really big mistake.
UDP and I were watching was it a 2009 for Mass Effect 2 demo when the two doctors were still working, and they showed one of the early, not the early builds, one of the later builds of Mass Effect 2, and they put on God mode so Shepard never dies, and it was a very different GUI or HUD, and the game was a lot slower. Obviously, the guy playing it wasn't very good because they just wanted to show off skills and what have you. But it was like, wow, this is a really different looking game. And then I remember showing him a video of one of my favorite videos where there's a guy who plays as Vanguard, and it's exactly the same level on Dantius Towers on Thane's recruitment mission.
I think I found it.
And it's just Vanguard goes psycho on Dantius Towers or whatever it is, and
it was probably this one.
The difference is really, really jarring. Just to see this slow paced. You can use biotics on shields.
Like Mass Effect 1.
Sorry?
It almost looks like Mass Effect 1, but a little bit cleaner UI.
The reticule is a lot different
Yeah.
for targeting. You're constantly ordering your teammates around. I don't think they were ever going anywhere though, so they never really worked on AI so much. But it was pretty different. It was still streamlined. It was still like, okay, it's almost ready to be shipped, but they changed things so quickly.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine that, how fast they would change story elements. So story elements are a lot easier and cleaner and less expensive to do. So why they didn't plan that out, we don't know. Unfortunately,
Maybe Casey had a bad dream.
yeah, he was flying one of his planes. Who knows? It's always a stupid excuse. But yeah, I
I
think
have an idea of how to bring back the AI plot and tie into the Reapers. So like the Leviathan created the Reapers to solve a certain problem or whatever. Let's make the problem that there was something wrong with the Leviathan race, and they were like, as he says, he was the apex race, but maybe they wanted to evolve even more, and they couldn't, so they built the Reapers, and the solution from the Reapers was to find the most advanced race or whatever in the galaxy and harvest them and use their knowledge and their, I don't know, abilities towards creating the next apex race. And so for the last cycle was the Protheans. For this cycle, it will be the AI or the VI, the Geth, essentially, right? And because that is going to be the next apex race in this, because eventually our brains run out of what we can do, and the VIs, essentially because they're virtual AIs, can become smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter.
okay. So the idea then is every 50,000 years they want to make a better, superior Reaper, and they just want to keep building up and building up. I like that idea. The problem is, why are they all the same? Why are they all in the same 2 kilometer 2 kilometer tall starship? Why are they always like that?
Well, we know that the original Harbinger were made from the original Leviathan race, right?
So it's just a shell. We don't really care so much about the outer appearance. Okay, hey, you know what? That works because they're interested in procreation. One of the first things I wanted to write down was reproduction, but to them, they don't care about reproduction because they just exist. So to increase their numbers, they just say, okay, let's just get some more organics, and we'll try this cybernetic enhancement. We'll try that cybernetic thing or computer or whatever. Yeah, possible. I mean, we can go a few hours just talking about better ideas than.
I mean, there was a cut quote from Edie in Mass Effect 2, which what did it say? So you remember in Mass Effect 2 when you go to the collector base, there's the throwaway line about them liquefying the humans to use them to build a human Reaper. Apparently there was more to that, and essentially Edie states that the captive humans were being reduced to the basic components by being dissected down to the atomic level. The data from the process could then be uploaded into the Reaper's neural network, thus storing the knowledge and essence of the individuals which were liquefied in the process.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, you can't reduce someone to atoms and store their essence. It makes no sense.
The Reapers found a way.
Yeah.
But the idea about it that the Reapers come in every cycle and harvest people into whatever they need.
If you're going to use technobabble, you have to use it the right way. You can't just say, we reduce you to your base components, then it's like, okay, the person as a person no longer exists. Their mind is gone, their brain is goo, their brain is the same level as their bones, as their internal organs. It's all the same now. And then you say,
DNA.
Yeah, and then you preserve it. It's like, wait, no. You preserve it. Then once you've got it, like the data, the information, then you can do whatever you want with the body. But then
you should probably hook someone up first, and then.
But then it doesn't make any sense. Like, what's the point of putting all this squishy goo into a piece of metal when you already have their minds and all their intelligence and all that crap? Like, what does that do? I don't get it. As opposed to cybernetics, where you're taking something superior, like a bone, like you're taking out the bone marrow that's inferior, and you're replacing it with titanium, or you're connecting it to the brain so it travels faster. Like whatever the the limb replacement you might have nowadays if you're an amputee. So there's reasons for that. It makes more sense. But this is like the opposite of that. This is like, oh, we're going to start with a slab of steel, and we're going to gel some brain matter on top of that, and then we're going to somehow connect that to a supercomputer. You're like, what is going on? How does this work? So they didn't explain that, and that was the problem. So if they explained it well, again, everything that they did could have worked well if they just explained it. Okay? All the dumb Arnold bullshit in Mass Effect 2 at the end, as silly as it looked, and as, Godzilla-ish or flailing like King Kong, whatever that was, could have worked if they just explained it. What was going on? How does this work? Why were they capturing people that way? Etc. Same with the kid. If the kid just did not talk about all this other nonsense and explained what the hell AI and why, like he could have been from the voice of God trope, where it's like, listen, this is how evolution works. You are always going to make AI. It's always going to happen. It's like, listen, really, how about some species that never made AI? We didn't care about them. They're fine. Or they kill themselves off naturally, or whatever the case. But you have to then explain, well, then if you're so concerned about AI, what happens about natural genocide? Like, what happens if they live longer than the 50,000 years? What about 100,000 years? And they still haven't made AI, but now they're killing each other off. Like, what would you step in then? So there's all these weird questions if the problem is genocide, and only genocide from AI. It's like you have to look at this entire gamut, this entire problem. And that's what you do in science fiction with books. You have to really take the time to explain a problem and focus in as a problem that has to be solved a certain way, as opposed to, well, we're gonna put you in a blender, and then you won't die because you're gonna be one of us. And you're like, okay, how? And you have to connect the dots. If you don't do that, it's a waste of time. So I think that's all the possible alternatives, aside from keeping what the original plot was, and trying to get the plot lines from the third game into the second game, using the Crucible as a communication device to talk to the Reapers.
So it is quite literally a giant space megaphone.
It is literally a giant space megaphone.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's a microphone. We're gonna sing to.
I guess my original.
I still want to have an explanation for which race decided, or which race had the idea to use the Citadel and build a device that fits perfectly onto the Citadel that will stop the Reapers. I still want to know how. There's like, I know the Crucible is a big MacGuffin, but every time I played the game, I was like, wait. If the Crucible is not built by the Reapers, but the Citadel is, how the fuck? Which race? How did they find out that the Citadel can be used as that?
Well, I want to know why they put a propeller on the bloody thing in space. I want to know why they put these massive layers of shielding that serve no purpose aside from getting ripped off at the last second to protect. It's like,
have to look cool.
like there's all these dumb design choices. Okay, so that was if the original plot was sticking. How could it be fixed? Change all of Mass Effect 2 to make it actually reflect what you're going to do in Mass Effect 3. Use the Crucible as a giant megaphone, and if possible, the Reapers would just systematically take out the AI, but bring all the normal people to the Stone Age. I don't know how that connects unless you change Mass Effect 2, but that was our previous chatter who left, so I don't know if he could explain that. But okay, we have 8 other plots from the Reapers that involve the galaxy as a whole, using the galaxy or the Milky Way galaxy as a giant petri dish, using humans specifically in a form of cybernetic compatibility. So they're looking specifically for a certain kind of species to advance themselves or to advance whatever purpose that is. We don't know. It doesn't matter. To the specific reason behind that would be a technological singularity. So it's kind of an extension of that. The other idea is, of course, just to have Reapers just keep advancing. The other idea is to have Reapers as guardians of all these galaxies. There's other galaxies out there, and there's this big war going on, and we're just a small component. We could be the stepping stone to trying to solve a problem there, trying to be a foot soldier. Who knows what's going on? It's something beyond our understanding, but they're just doing this for a much more higher ethical standard that us little germs can't possibly figure it out. Then we have the alternative to a technological singularity where we have species are just going to keep advancing to the point of so much power that they can wipe each other out. So we have to stop those individual species from doing that, which is actually kind of logical when you think about it. Pretty basic. And this all translates to the beings of light lore. So we can explain this very well in all of these potential different plots. And of course, our latest one was that the Reapers aren't trying to advance themselves. They're just trying to make a really cool, awesome next flavor of Reaper that is independent and just keeps getting better and better and better because they're static, and that's how they fly. They just keep making more. So I'm going to go through some questions in chat, unless you guys have anything else you want to say before I get to super chats and specific questions that have been quoted to me. Anyone else?
Just to the Crucible, maybe the Crucible. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry. Maybe like the Crucible was in a way triggered by Leviathans. They didn't build it, but they like influenced the races in every cycle to like find at least some part of the Crucible and then improve on it.
Yeah,
you know, so that they basically like outlive.
Really make the Leviathan be like the crucial thing that in Mass Effect 2 gets like teased, and in Mass Effect 3 like gets more apparent till like halfway through you meet the Leviathan really, and he just like drops like a couple of bombs in your face, and you're like, what? And from that moment on, it's like the story just picks up to the big finale. Right? I always say that the Leviathan was just a DLC, and that it was like completely disconnected. You really have to build that in because there's just so much potential to explain so much in there.
Yeah, and when you finish the DLC in Mass Effect 3, basically you just, but we recruited your original creators, and the Star Child is just, well, we don't care. We don't care. Nope.
So like the fact that the Leviathans can essentially mind control Reapers to the point that they can deactivate Reapers, and then it just like never gets brought up anymore when you play the DLC. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the DLC, the Reaper's just coming down and he just snaps his tentacles or whatever and just turns it off. Like,
it's like,
wait,
man.
How did you freaking lose the war? Like, how is it possible?
Yeah, it's like they could have solved it. It's like they could have stuck all those blue balls of doom around the Citadel, so when the Reapers all start pouring through, they just go meh and just turn them all off.
Yeah, like imagine for example in the Terminator universe, if you just grabbed every EMP grenade you could and you just EMP the heck out of the foot soldiers with the Skynet. Like, how would then be possible to lose? Like, you have the technology to beat them. It's just a simple EMP grenade. And how is it possible that you lose?
Because nobody thought that they would lose the war, and nobody decided to let's put all the fucking EMP grenades into one place and nuke them at the same time.
Yeah, it's or maybe I'm not sure. Like, if we can just turn it off, but that would be too simple. We want to fight it conventionally. Dude, what's the logic? You are supposed to be superior being that mind controls people on planets.
I mean, that is
into basically, you turn them into acolytes worshipping you. You can just shut the Reapers down with like your simple thoughts. How is it possible that you lost and you started hiding on like some water planet?
Well, by the end of the day, it's always the story. Man builds machine, machine gets smarter, machine gets too smart, and eventually you sit there like, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah, like if I was Shepard in that suit talking to him, I would be, you know what? You told me you would help me. You know what? Just to hell with it, kill me. I don't care anymore. You lost the war. You somehow managed to lose the war. You're incompetent, godlike beings who can shut off a Reaper with a single thought, but you still manage somehow to lose. It's like imagine if you meet, or imagine if, like for example, Picard went to a normal fight against Q. How and then Q somehow lost. How would they lose? Oh well, if I just snapped my fingers, it would be too easy. I want to kill Picard
No,
conventionally.
he didn't think that he become bring a gun or something. It's like, by the end of the day. But I would say I like the Leviathan DLC because it explains what really happened, and they just wanted a solution for a problem, and eventually the AI decided, you know what? Our creators are parts of the problem. Eradicate, and then overnight everything just went to shit, and nobody could foresee that. So that makes sense. I would just love to have more background for that, and how that affects what's happening now.
Like in a way that would make sense, but then just one survived. He could still turn them all off.
I know, right?
He killed most of my race.
Go from planet to planet and just next planet.
This is one of the reasons why I will never analyze Leviathan DLC. It's Deus Ex for a Deus Ex. It's just not. It's not good writing in general as an idea, and it could have actually worked because this is like, hey, this is where the Reapers came from. Great. Oh God, you just explained everything we didn't need to know, and there's better ways around that.
I personally like the DLC because of the mystery element.
Yes, there is
because it was like back in Mass Effect, the mystery element is back only in the DLC, and then it just shrugs it off, and still it will not make any sense.
The only thing I don't like about the DLC is on the second planet, that fucking ladder, which bugs out every single fucking time, and you have to do like 100 360s till the game realizes, oh, there's a ladder. Let's go down.
I like the interview with Mac and Casey. It's like, we're now going to explain the origins of the Reapers. 2 weeks later, so we've explained the origins of the Reapers. It's like, what? But you realize there was a dollar value to that or something?
Well, that was before the extended cut DLC. So, and then the Leviathan DLC came out, and you're like, what? Why? What? How much more DLC do we need?
Casey probably had a dream, and he decided to, oh, that's a good idea.
Like, think about it, right? You introduced the Leviathan guy, right, with Miranda's father in Mass Effect 2. They are working on indoctrination, and then something happens. Miranda's father wants to test it on real humans, but Leviathan guy says no, so Miranda's father says, go F yourself, I'm taking everything, and steals everything and goes away. And later they can introduce like the what was the DLC where they tested Geth and humans together to control them?
Overlord.
Right, so they can build Overlord in that thing, and that fails, so he fully goes rampage, and then we have the Horizon plot in Mass Effect 3, but at the same time, we know that indoctrination is a thing, and then we find the blue balls because we know what signature to look for thanks to Tally figuring shit out, and then we can build in the Leviathan, and he can super drop us all the shit, and then we know more about the Reapers and know more about how to stop them, and then this concludes everything into that they take the apex race of every cycle to build like the alpha male and shit.
Yeah. I could easily imagine myself as a shepherd especially in Mass Effect 3, just giving up somewhere in the middle. Not because of the dreams, I would just probably shrug them off. Like, some random kid died. Like, tons of people died because of Reapers, like trillions. Why should I care about a random kid that I never know or never knew? But this BS that I'm watching, like, you Koreans, I told you to not attack. You know what? Screw this. I'm just going to join the Reapers. Screw you all. The Reapers are better than you. They are more intelligent. I told you to not attack again. You did it anyway. Screw you all. Like, if you had that renegade option, I would just totally do it. Screw the Paragon.
Yeah, you guys in the last stream mentioned that there will be human experiments. Maybe you can have in Mass Effect 2, like, several times the option to choose to augment yourself with Reap Attack or something like that. And in Mass Effect 3, then one of the conclusions can be that you will actually join the Reapers because you have been too renegade or something, that you were easier to indoctrinate, and then you get indoctrinated, and the ending is you fighting all your friends.
I would love that option. It would probably be much better than the rest, like the Asari. Well, you are supposed to be like the most clever people out here, but you're really just some stupid tentacle blue humans, mutants.
That's
No, I
sexist.
don't like you. Screw you. This, really, it doesn't make sense. Then you have the Dalatraz, because you decided to help Krogan with the Genophage, and she's just still triggered by you helping them.
It's like, dude, you are aware that there are Reapers right here, right? The Krogans are the ones who pack the most punch.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier. That's the problem. There's like no diplomacy at all. The diplomacy is missing. You have like a small part of like kind of diplomacy, but that's the diplomacy on basically a railway. So it doesn't
they
matter.
wanted that, but they didn't execute it really well.
That's what I'm missing. Like I said that earlier. Like the Rachni, they just join you and everyone just shrugs it off. Okay, they're just helping us. The only
I think you get an email actually that says, yeah, it was kind of creepy at first having suddenly the Ragnar market, but now everybody's again.
Hacker dropped it when you ask Hackett.
Oh, yeah.
How are the Ragnar doing? Otherwise scaring the heck out of our engineers. They are surprisingly good at building giant death machines. Really?
Yeah, that should have been explored.
Yeah, it's just one of the more evidence that they just rushed. That the game was just rushed.
I think we can all agree on that. But let's actually bring us to a close and go through some of the super chats and other questions. If you guys have any other questions in the chat, leave them now. Quote myself so I can see them. And let's just go through them all. Okay, so I'm going from the end of the previous super chat, which is by Nathan Brake. We have one by Lynn Kensky. And he's saying, Lore Runner's Crucible, it's another Reaper trap. I think I remember one of Lore Runner's videos back in the day. I think he was talking about that. He was also referring to how he wishes Dragon Age Origins options, where if you get the Quarians on your side, you could press a button, they would come in to help, or they would call in. Like, he had a few other ideas that were specific to gameplay and how the ending should have gone, which I think we all have. So, yeah, another Reaper trap. That would have been a funny thing. Just the Reapers are like, yeah, we left that thing as a literal red herring. It's like, there you go. Yep. Haha. We don't care. Let's see what else we've got. Another one, Nathan Brake. Expanding my thought. Okay, you're expanding on the second one there. The Reapers are looking for perfect evolved life form. Okay. I don't think that would be humans, but okay. So they plant seeds like the Rachni and AI to test the species. When humanity shows, the Reapers take key interest in them. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. They sort of throw the galaxy at each other, and they see who comes up on top. I could see that making sense. And maybe they did create the Rachni for that sole purpose. It's kind of like you have your garden, and you put a natural predator in there, and you see how the things that were growing in the garden can survive. And if they do, boom, there's the guys you want. Kind of like the Krogans. They're the best to get, at least physically. But unfortunately, as we learned from Harbinger in Mass Effect 2, he didn't like anyone except the humans, sadly.
That would have been such an interesting idea. That's why they bring the Rachni back in Mass Effect 3.
Well, they screwed the pooch with that either way. So, all right, another super chat from Adam Wofford. The games should have been 5 or 6 to tell the story completely right. Whoa, that's a big series of games there. That's like 400, 500 hours worth of content. That's a bit too much. To tell the story completely right, also good writers, yes, I agree. Figuring out ways to shield everyone from indoctrination. Yeah, these were the standard things you had to do. When you have an enemy who attacks you on all these fronts, you're like, okay, they have big guns. How do we defend against that? We can't. We have to avoid it. We have to get really small. They have really powerful shields. How do we penetrate that? They never bothered to figure that out. Stuff like indoctrination, they never bothered to tell that story. they just had it in the story. It's just, oh yeah, this is a thing you can never avoid, except when you're Shepard. He just doesn't bother him for some reason. Everyone else does though.
Just a flesh
wound. Let's see. Any other questions? Maybe ground up humans is the Reaper's version of Omnigel. Ooh. Jeez. That is. I mean, yeah, logically that would make sense because you just liquefy them and you slap them onto anything and they. Human consciousness. Hive mind. Boom. Yeah. So, maybe not the nicest way of putting it, but certainly it would be, if that was the equivalent. Sure, why not? Let's see what else we got here.
Whenever we master the trilogy, use that as an Easter egg.
Well, if they're going to put Omnigel explanation in Lair of the Shadow Broker, they should do it. They maybe should do that for the plot as a whole. I think it's a good idea. Not in DLC though. So you're saying the Reapers use us as recruits for a war with other galactic empires, some like the Wraith or some other threat, right? In regards to the which I think it was it this one? Reapers are guardians of the galaxies, and there's things that are happening beyond the galaxies or interconnected to the galaxies, and they see us as just a resource to either solve the problem of a war or as foot soldiers or whatever. So whatever conflict is out there, because it's so beyond our comprehension that voila, they're recruiting us and they can't explain it because it's too big and it's beyond our purview. We're not here to learn the ways of the Reaper. Let's see what else we got here. Why Miranda make my pee-pee hard? I don't know, man. That's between you and Miranda. And that's it. Okay, great. Guys, we're under an hour and 30 minutes. How impressive is that? I'm just like giving myself a pat on the back. Everyone didn't ramble too long. And we had a bunch of problems with people jumping in and out, but we got it all done. We got a nice big hefty list. We got 8 possible or alternates to the original Reaper plot, which I think any of these could have been a good enough reason, or if not a better enough reason, for Mass Effect 3 to have as a reveal or as an explanation than what we got. So thank you guys very much. I haven't planned out the next one. If you want to suggest topics, leave them in the comment section after this video finishes baking, and we'll see you next week. Ta-ta.
Hello.